ever be able to find this, so I don't know if I'll be able to link it in the blog post that corresponds to this. But there was a study that came out that followed, like, I don't know, I can't remember how many individuals, but I think they were all men, and it followed them from birth to, like, death, basically, and it rated their happiness levels the whole time, and it found that commute time was significant in their, like, overall life happiness level.
So the reason they had to explain this like life satisfaction that people weren't getting if they had long commutes was that people with longer commutes having longer commutes was related to feelings of time pressure, and that increased stress levels.
Yeah.
So the more longer you're commuting, the more you're going to feel stressed for time and stressed in general.
Yeah.
And
it's not great. And I also think depending on how you commute, that can also be a happiness factor. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like catching public transport in peak hour with all of these people basically around you.
Yeah, it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
One of the ways to offset this was physical exercise, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that could kind of make up for it because it sort of de-stresses you. So moving on to the next category, we've got size up next. And we discussed this in our last episode, types of houses.
Yeah, so we discussed apartments, detached houses, semi-detached units, tiny houses, townhouses. But I think that's all the houses. We discussed a lot of houses.
Yeah.
So if you want to, like, get some info about types of houses, go check out episode 3. There's a lot in there about all the different disadvantages and advantages of all of those house types.
And one of the main differences between those types of houses is the size.
Yeah.
Particularly tiny houses, love that
tiny houses, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was, like, the section that you picked out that you liked, and I put it in there as a joke.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. It was funny. I didn't know tiny houses were a thing. I was amazed.
They're a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think, I do a real estate podcast, I should know these things.
Yep. No, it's just me. I watch too much of, like, what is it? 9 Life.
Yeah, and, like, the House Hunters sort of things.
Yeah, House Hunters International. What is that other thing? Flip or Flop.
Is that when they buy one and then renovate it and then try to make a profit on it?
Yeah, that's the one with the blonde-haired lady with short hair. I love the ones that are, like, husband and wife duos. I think that is really funny because they're always so witty together and they kind of hate each other, but they love each other at the same time.
Yeah, so size relates to both indoor and, like, outdoor space.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could use them as subcategories like I did with location, but I haven't done that here. Anyway, as we said in the last episode, a majority of people who regret the size of their house wish it was bigger, so you're more likely to be wishing you had a bigger house than wishing you had a smaller house.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was actually, like, really surprised that I know we had a small sample with our little survey thing that we did, but I was really surprised about the amount of people that said they wanted, like, a backyard or yard space or a, like, area outside, because I don't know, I just assumed that wasn't a significant factor for most people our age because that just means more maintenance. But it seems like either we have a lot of, like, green thumb friends or people actually want backyards still. So
yeah, I imagine most of the people, most of our friends will have grown up, like, with backyards. So
yeah, but yeah,
they're used to it.
This is true. But I thought, like, if out of all of the features, I thought people would be willing to compromise on backyards, but it seems like that's not the case.
Yeah.
So it's actually more important than I first thought to people.
Yeah, like, personally, I would sacrifice a backyard for a better location.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I still would want a small outdoor area, I think, just because I may or may not want a pupper. So, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have the outdoor space for the doggos.
For the little doggos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, that said, about the yeah, larger houses, people wish their house was larger more than they wish it was smaller. That said, it's like definitely unclear whether larger houses actually make people happier,
Right.
and there's no conclusive research into like this,
Okay.
like there is with the commute time.
Yeah. So even though you might have a large house, and even though people regret the size of their houses, it may not actually make them happy to buy a larger house.
Yeah,
We don't know.
So, and the other thing is, in the UK and the US, they've had like the average house has like been going up in size.
Mm-hmm.
But they like people aren't more satisfied with their houses than they used to be.
Okay.
So maybe bigger housing just isn't better. But maybe it could be something else though. So
Yeah, it could be another factor.
maybe people were just like less grateful than they were. I don't know, you know, yeah.
Who knows?
Moving on, the next factor we're going to talk about is house quality.
Yeah, can you explain what a house quality is?
So that's kind of vague, but it's just like how like nice the house is in terms of like, does it have a nice kitchen, a bathroom?
So like modern,
Yeah, well,
kind of.
not necessarily, just like
It could be old and nice.
basically you walk in, you look at it, and you go like, how much do I like the look of this thing?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So like just the overall appeal of the interior. Is it exterior as well?
Yeah, exterior as well. So it like also include like, so the aesthetics of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, also just like, it also like, if you have a like good, like really nice bathroom and a really nice kitchen, that can be something you want to. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Well, those bathrooms and kitchens are the most expensive rooms in a house to renovate. So if you buy a house that already has a nice kitchen or bathroom, then that's definitely an advantage. In saying that, the house is probably more expensive because it has a nice kitchen and a nice bathroom. So yeah, that's a disadvantage.
Yeah, so this category is something a lot of people might compromise in exchange for price, especially on their first home.
Yeah.
So yeah, depends on the person. So yeah, perhaps like you can grow to love any house. Just
Yeah, that's like So I had this obsession a while back about artsy but ugly, no, ugly but artsy houses. So they're houses that are like super ugly on the outside and on the inside, but like they're loved and like have like all these like cute artsy aspects to them, and like the ugliness kind of makes them unique in a way. Like instead of, you know how like sometimes modern houses they all look the same and everything. I guess ugly houses. Yeah. You're never going to find a similar ugly house. They're all different.
It feels more homely.
Yeah, it feels kind of homely.
Yeah.
And it feels just like, you know, it's like, it's not perfect, but it's like reflective of how you're not perfect, and it's kind of nice. Like, it's just like, I actually saw, the reason why this whole like obsession thing happened was I watched The Vow, which is like a romantic movie. I think it's Nicholas Sparks. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I just assume that most romantic movies are Nicholas Sparks.
It sounds like it.
Anyway, so point is, in that movie, the like leading female was like an artist, and their house was really like artsy but really ugly, and I was like, whoa, this is not typical for movies, because in movies normally they have like the great cookie cutter house that's like really lovely. And yeah, I just was like digging it. I was like, yeah, I could get used to this like ugly but artsy vibe. So yeah. In saying that, house quality is important to me. Like, yeah, for the most part. I think it's less important to me than it was probably a year ago. A year ago, I was like, I will, like, that's all I want is a modern kitchen and modern bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, I will move anywhere. Location doesn't matter as long as it looks good.
Yeah.
But I don't know so much anymore.
Yeah.
When my priorities are at with that.
Yeah. So yeah, you do take on a little bit of a risk getting a place that like you don't like the look of, because yeah, there is a chance that like you won't be able to stand it. But...
Yeah, you won't like it. And also with older bathrooms and kitchens, there may be issues with it structurally. So like, or
Oh
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of thing.
Definitely, like house quality, like becomes a really important factor when it starts falling down. I'd
Yeah,
say.
It's better to have good house quality over like broken house. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on to our final factor, we've got resale value.
Mm-hmm.
So, will the house go up in price while you own it? Is it in a desirable area where the prices are on the rise? Like, yeah, because ideally you want to be in a position where you're making money by not doing anything because your house has gone up in value.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah. So as we discussed on the last podcast, houses rise more in price than apartments because you own more land.
Yeah, so if you're looking at resale value, then something with more land is more valuable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, more land, but more desirable land. So if you've got like heaps of acres in country,
Oh yeah, where no one wants to live, then
yeah,
that's not.
shots
I mean,
fired at the
it
country.
kind of is. Like that land does go up in value, just not as fast as like in the like city areas.
Yeah, so if you've got a house in a major city, that's probably going to go up more than other types of housing. But that said, like ultimately the housing market is like to some extent unpredictable, and this probably shouldn't be your deciding factor, but like it is something to consider. So
yeah,
I put it in.
Yeah, no, I also heard I don't even know where I heard this, but I heard that the best way to determine like what houses will go up is to look at the like, so if a suburb has like a lot of suburbs around it that's been going up, but that suburb in particular hasn't gone up, that's probably a good place to start looking because it probably will go up in the future. So if it's surrounded by suburbs that are like increasing in value, then like get on that quick.
Yeah.
Because it's probably a good one. Also, just in general, land that's closer to the major city is better.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, to wrap it all up, how you decide what house to buy is very much your own process and depends on you. I'm very much a spreadsheets and numbers person, so I'd probably like list all these categories out, rate their importance, and then rank every single house I see out of 10 in them, and then like create a score for each house. Mm-hmm. But
that's probably a smart way to do it.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't like. That's a smart way to do it. That's like a way that I should do it. But I know for me, like it's probably gonna be like walking into an open house and being like, "This is the one."
You want something, you want something to blow you away and
like,
sweep you off your feet.
My emotional, like, if it like pulls me emotionally, and I have an emotional attachment to the house, which is something that you should not. Like, you should not factor in your emotions when thinking about whether or not to buy a house, which I'm going to talk about in another episode later on, because I think it's really interesting, like, the emotions involved with buying houses. But, yeah, I know, personally, I'm just a very emotionally impulsive person, kind of, so, like, I would be like, this is it, this is the one, and, like, I would forget about commute time and all the other factors and be like, no, this one speaks to me.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But yes, we should definitely go with your idea.
That said, like any model I make, if it doesn't match up with like my intuition about what sort of how which ones I am more like leaning to, I probably like will think something's wrong with the model.
Yeah.
Well, I'll investigate anyway. Yeah. So yeah, there is a bit of a you know, you want to use both those things. You don't want to just be using numbers.
Just numbers. Yeah.
But you could, but
but
you might end up something you don't actually want deep down.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, it's kind of that thing like when people are like, oh, I'll like flip a coin to make a decision, but then during the flipping process, you're like, hang on, I've got my decision. Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Okay, so now we'll move on to real estate current affairs. So this one's a bit of a funny one. My other two were a bit ranty. But so basically I found this article called Florida Man Who Bought $1 Million Island Caught Shoplifting at Kmart. I love this one.
Yeah, that's so memey.
So basically he I think what he did was he bought items and then he like fake returned them. But like, I don't know why they didn't check.